Oh my goodness, y'all, we are diving back into those church cookbooks today. I have some really good ones to share. You don't want to miss these. And we're gonna start with one of my family's favorites with a little twist. So for these sliders, I'm just using some Sara Lee Hawaiian rolls. Actually did a Walmart pickup order and I ordered the King's Hawaiian, but they were out. So they substituted these and I think they're gonna work just fine. And then for ham, any sort of deli ham will work. Just get it shaved pretty thin, but I'm just using the Hillshire Farm in the smoked version. It is the ultra thin. I got a pound. The recipe that I'm actually going by says just a half a pound, but I always feel like with these sliders, a pound of meat really makes them better. So we'll see. And then our ingredient for this one, we're gonna actually use some pimento cheese. And this is the palmetto cheese. I think it's a local thing, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of broad. So just any kind of pimento cheese will work. But if you do happen to see the palmetto cheese, this one or the jalapeno flavor is really good. So definitely give that a try if you see it. So we're just gonna make up the little ham sandwiches, and this recipe in particular, it just says to make them all kind of separately and then arrange them, as opposed to trying to slice through this whole thing, which is how I've done most sliders in the past. And also, by the way, this recipe, actually I saw this variation online. It did not come from one of my cookbooks, but it just reminded me so much of the recipes I see in all my church cookbooks, especially anytime you go to a baby shower, bridal shower, anything like that, you're gonna see those traditional ham sliders. So I thought, why not just try a little spin on that recipe? So I'm just gonna go through. I think I'm gonna add a couple pieces of ham to each one, make up my little sliders until I've used all my little Hawaiian rolls. Okay, just a little note, if you do go by this recipe, definitely go with the whole pound. I only put a couple pieces of meat on each little one. I definitely think you need to use more than one, and I almost used that entire pound. So definitely recommend going with the full pound on that. So I just have all my little tops sitting back here, and now I'm just gonna go and grab about 1 tablespoon of that pimento cheese. Pop that right on there and just finish assembling all my little sliders. But stay tuned, because we're actually gonna make a really yummy kind of butter sauce over on the stove to pour over these before we bake them. And that's just gonna make them over the top. So over here on this side, I am gonna add just a little bit of American cheese, because I'm not sure if my kids will like them a lot with that pimento cheese. So that's what that's for. All right, now let's go over to the stove and make that yummy butter sauce I was talking about. So to our saucepan, we're just gonna add 6 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We're just gonna let that butter melt down and all that combine together. We're also gonna add about a tablespoon of poppy seeds. All right, now I'm just gonna bring over that sauce, pour it right over top of all of these sliders. All right, and these are going into the oven at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes until the tops are golden brown. Now we're gonna jump to the most perfect pasta salad, perfect thing to go along with those ham and pimento cheese sliders. So I'm gonna start by grating 2 carrots, and I am gonna use my little countertop grater here, and I'm using the fine attachment in there. And I always will have these little contraptions linked below on my Amazon storefront, but they make grating cheese and carrots so easy. Over on the stove, I just have 1 pound of elbow noodles. Cooking these up according to the package directions. You do want to make sure they stay al dente. So I have all of our macaroni noodles all cooked up. And I did go ahead and rinse and drain these a couple times. Pick your macaroni noodles up off the floor that you threw in the floor. That's in the directions. All right, next we're just gonna take some apple cider vinegar. You only need a couple tablespoons. And you want to do this while your macaroni noodles are still warm. I'm gonna drizzle that over the top. Give your noodles a quick little toss. Right now I'm just gonna bring back over those shredded carrots. We're gonna add those right in. And toss everything together. And you just wanna let this cool at this point. So I'm just gonna set it over to the side. You can even pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes. Go fold a load of laundry, something like that, and come back to it. Yeah, or just sit on the couch and eat popcorn. Watch a show. I like the way you think, Hayden. All right, now that our noodles have cooled down a little bit, we're just gonna add about 2 to 2.5 cups of your favorite mayonnaise. Y'all, do Blue Plate or Duke's. Just trust me on that. But let me know your favorite mayonnaise. Do you like Hellmann's? That's okay, I'm not judging you if you do. My grandma, who I've talked about several times, that's the kind of mayonnaise she always bought. And she was the only one in our family who did that. Everybody else bought Duke's, but my grandpa always had Hellmann's. Like I said, 2 to 2.5 cups of mayonnaise. I don't really measure it because I always like to add a little bit more at the end anyway. We're just gonna get that stirred in a little bit. Throw some more out on the floor for good luck. We're also gonna stir in about 1/4 cup of milk. We're also gonna sprinkle in about 2 teaspoons of just white sugar, then a little pinch of salt, a decent pinch of pepper, and we're just gonna toss it all together. Then we're just gonna add a little bit of green onion right on top for some color. And I'm gonna cover this, and it really needs to sit in the fridge a couple hours to let all those flavors kind of marry and come out a little bit. But that's it. You can make this ahead of time. There we go, super easy.
These sliders were so perfect. My kids loved these. They said they were the favorite sliders that I have made, and I've made lots and lots of variations of sliders, especially these little ham and cheese ones, but they did eat the ones with the American cheese, so there's that. But Darren and I loved the pimento cheese in there, and I felt like these were even easier too for some reason. Also liked kind of doing them individually rather than trying to slice through that whole thing of Hawaiian rolls. But anyway, this night we had this for dinner. It was so perfect. Those buttery, savory Hawaiian rolls along with that cool pasta salad, a little bit of crunch from those shredded carrots in there. This was so delicious.
So we're gonna start by melting 4 tablespoons of butter in a large skillet. And then to that butter, I have 1 large onion that I just sliced up. We're gonna saute that in this butter. And by the way, I am having this recipe. I will have the whole recipe linked down below, but it does make a really good amount in a 9x13. So for our family of 4, just on a regular old weeknight, I'm gonna have the recipe. So we are just gonna saute this onion in this butter just until the onion starts to brown a little bit, until it gets a little bit soft. So while those onions are sauteing, we're gonna mix together 1 can of cream style corn. Actually, we're gonna do half of this can. Next, we're gonna do half a box of the Jiffy corn muffin mix. And of course, if you're doing the whole recipe, do the whole box. I'm not gonna say that for every ingredient. And this recipe, y'all, is one of my favorites, but I actually haven't made it in probably a few years. I was gonna say a couple years, but it's actually been a few years. So I'm super excited to have it tonight. We're also gonna add in about half a cup of sour cream. I'm just gonna eyeball that. We're also gonna add half a cup of milk. Actually, I about messed up, y'all, 1/4 cup of milk, so I'm just gonna add about half that. It would have probably still been fine. The recipe calls for 4 drops of hot sauce. Just use your favorite, but we love the Cholula hot sauce. You can really taste the floral notes in there. My mouth is watering, y'all. We're also gonna add about 1 cup of shredded cheese, and I just shredded this up a few minutes ago. Use fresh if you can, but if you have bagged, that'll work too. We're also gonna add a pinch of salt, and then we're just gonna mix everything really well together. And also while I'm stirring this recipe calls for dill weed as well. And I happen to love dill, and I love it in this recipe. It is so good. However, I just know my family, and I think they will like it better without that dill. All right, those onions are about ready, so I'm gonna set this to the side and grab our baking dish. All right, those onions have started to kind of caramelize up a little bit, and we're just gonna dump those right in the bottom of this baking dish. Next, we're gonna bring back over that cornbread mixture, and it's going right over top of the onions. And y'all, this is probably one of the first recipes I tried out of our actual church's cookbook, because I love onions and I love cheese, and I was so happy I tried this. It is so good. I'm so excited to have this. Like I said, we have not had it in a while. So I actually forgot to save a little bit of cheese to go on top. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit more, sprinkle on top. And this is gonna bake in the oven at 350 for about 40 to 50 minutes. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it because this cheese could start to burn. But if I notice that, I'll just place some foil over it and we'll be good to go. All right, y'all, here is that onion corn bake out of the oven. It looks and smells absolutely delicious. Let's plate this up so I can show y'all just how good it is. I'm just gonna serve this up with some barbecue chicken I cooked in the slow cooker, and some green beans, and oh my goodness, I'm gonna turn it upside down. You can see those cheesy onions in there with that golden brown cornbread crust. Do y'all see this? I'm telling y'all, if you need a good recipe, look in a church cookbook. I'm gonna link my church cookbook recipe series down below and right here on the screen. Make sure to click that for even a more amazing Southern cooking, honey.
Hit that subscribe button before you go, and I will see y'all real soon in my next video. Bye, y'all.